What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews. We just had a winning day and we're back to do it again. I got 4 bets that I've already put down, which I'm going to share with you all today. Now, if that sounds interesting, let's go.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.
So I shared quite a few bets in that last video. From the main 5 that we shared, we went 3 and 2, plus a couple of leans that we went through. I told you that I found 2 that I was going to jump on, managed to cash those as well. So pretty profitable day. If you bet like a responsible person and didn't do 7-leg parlays, you're probably happy with me today. But if you didn't, you probably hate my guts. But let's talk about it. Let's be accountable for what was done. 7-3 on straight bets went overall yesterday. 2.9 units in the profit. Overall, VIP went 4.9 units in the profit, 6.2 in the NBA. We did lose 1.3 units in the NFL. A winning day is a winning day. Glad to see some more regular season action after all those cup games. We've got one more to get through, and then we can do a lot more of this. Now let's talk about the losing bets on the day. There was 3 of them that I had. All 3 of these guys I did talk about in the last videos. If you tailed some of these and they lost, I apologize. But let's talk about whether they were good bets or not. First one, Jalen Suggs over 20.5 points. This is probably what I saw most in the comments, but my man shot 4 from 19 in that game. He finished on 9 points. He didn't get close, but I honestly don't hate this bet. He had the looks. He played the way that I thought he was going to play. He took a lot of shots, played a lot of stuff in that pick and roll. He just shot awfully. Prior to this game, if he had taken 17 shots or more, he was averaging 25 points per game, and he covered that points line easily in every single one. A really awful shooting night. I think some people call that bad variance, whatever the fuck it was. I don't honestly hate that bet too much, and I'll probably play it again if that situation comes up. The next one, Santi Aldama over 9.5 points. Very similar to Suggs. The read looked good. He was awful. He was 1 from 8 from the field, 0 from 3 from deep. We only needed 2 more buckets to cash that line. Finished with 6 points. Not the worst bet that I made, if I'm being honest with you. The worst bet I made on the day was this one. It's LeBron James over 23.5 points. Now, this isn't a bad bet because I'm a LeBron James hater. If anything, it's a bad bet because I only took it because he scored 30 plus points in 2 games against Memphis, and his matchup wasn't too bad. Outside of that, this man has been inconsistent as hell. I failed to factor in that he's 100 years old. It's also his first game back from his injury. Plus, if the rumors are true, whatever Diddy bullshit that he may be a part of might have been playing on his mind. I don't think so, but it could have been. LeBron James didn't get the points that I expected him to do, and I think that was the worst bet that I made on the day. Wasn't all bad, though. Let's talk about our winners. Kevin Durant, over 8.5 rebounds and assists. Easy money. Finishes with 14. I told you that this line will move to 9.5, and if it's at plus money, I'd encourage you to still take it, and hopefully you did. We had Obi Toppin over 10.5 points. First half, easy cash, probably the best bet that I made on the day. Everything went perfectly. I also bet the under and 4.5 rebounds for Tyrese Halliburton. That was quite sweaty. He finishes with 4. We hit on Goga over 8.5 rebounds. He finishes with 10 plus money odds for that play. He only played 24 minutes, and I was expecting him to play at least 30, but the man still delivered. So a great rebounder, good matchup. He made it happen. On that video, I took you through a lean of mine. I was talking about Kevin Durant over 4.5 first quarter points. I ended up taking it 6 points in the first quarter. He took 5 shots and was efficient as hell. So thank you, KD. Then we had Denny Ardvia. I took you through this as well. Over 11.5 points. Easy money. 17 points off the bench. My man killed it. And then I bet on Klay Thompson over 2.5 3-pointers made. Another easy cash. He finishes with 7. Now, if we talk about the value plays and we talk about Klay Thompson, we also bet on him to get 5 3-pointers at plus 400, 6 3-pointers at plus 850. We also hit a Kevin Durant value play, and Obi Toppin, we also cashed in for him to get 15 points. Now, that Kevin Durant value play, all that was Kevin Durant over his first quarter points prop, which we took as a single, and Kevin Durant over his rebounds and assists. So those things cashed. Toppin obviously made it rain for us. So we're up almost 41 units in December, hoping to get to 50. Here's something I shared with VIP. This was the day, 4.9 units overall, 6.2 on the NBA. This is how December is looking. A 19% return on your investment, over 40 units of profit in the month. Things are going great. Hoping to hit 50 in this one. But to celebrate the great day, basically celebrating Obi Toppin here, being an absolute stud. Thanks to Obi Toppin, you can get VIP with the code OBI for 50% off your first month. He scored 16 points today, so redemptions for this code are available to only the first 16 users. And let me show you that real quick. Only 16 uses left. Well, there's only 15 uses left. Somebody's used this already. So 15 uses left for the OB code, 50% off your first month. But I do encourage you guys to trial VIP at the minimum. My strategy doesn't suit everybody. It requires a lot of discipline, a lot of bankroll management. So if you're down with that, I'd encourage you to trial it out. So sign up to Rebet, make a $10 deposit, and email me with a screenshot, and I'll give you a month of the VIP picks for free. You'll also get entry into a giveaway. Once we hit 100 referrals, I'll be giving away $100 to 5 different people. We already have 75 Rebet referrals, so we only need 25 more. I'm pretty confident we can get this done before Christmas, guys. So check out Rebet, download it, make your first deposit, send me an email, and we'll get this thing rolling. Once we hit around 100 referrals, we're doing a Christmas giveaway. Who knows? I might even wear a Santa hat for it, depending on what date this happens. But enough talking about that. Go ahead and check all that stuff out. Links in the video description below. Let's get through these 4 bets, shall we? Let's go. So we're jumping into Props Madness. Best tool you can possibly find when you're looking at NBA player props, advanced data that you're not going to find anywhere else. The more data it gets, the better it gets. And man, I've been killing it. And a lot of it comes down to the data that's shown to me using Props Madness. Now, check it out. 7-day free trial, 25% off if you use the code DAFT when you sign up in your first month. Also, I've got a YouTube video dedicated to a beginner's guide on how to use this. It is a little bit advanced, but hopefully that guide can help you out. And I actually take a break from work in about 3 days' time, so I'm going to have a little bit more free time going into the Christmas break. I might do another tutorial for Props Madness. So if you've got Props Madness already and there's something you want me to do a tutorial on, let me know in the comment section below. Now let's start talking about these bets, shall we? There's 4 that I really like in this game, in this set of games, sorry. And I honestly thought I'd like more. There's a few that I like, but I didn't take a bet on, and I'll take you through that after the bets. But this first game, 76ers versus the Hornets. No Joel Embiid in this one. I'm looking at Paul George. Podcast P. And for Paul George, I'm specifically looking at his points plus assists. Now, Paul George has only hit this number in 3 out of 13 games this season, which isn't great. But this game is a little bit spicy for me. So one thing that I know for sure is up against Brandon Miller today. Brandon Miller, he idolized Paul George. He was on Paul George's podcast, hyping him up. And I think I'm buying into the motivation here for Paul George. I think he's going to be pumped up for this one. It also helps that Joel Embiid's not in this game. So a couple of things have happened. I've done a deep dive here, and I found in 3 games that Paul George has played against Brandon Miller, he's attempted 16 field goal attempts in all of those games. That includes last year and the 2 games this year. So if we just wanted to use Props Madness to look at the games where he's taken at least 16 field goal attempts, we can see that he's gone over this line in 3 out of 4 games, covering a 75% rate, averaging 30.8 points and assists. Now, that's only from field goal attempts only. That's the only filter on field goal attempts, sorry. There are other filters we can play around with, but his only under was actually against the Charlotte Hornets. That was his 4th game playing for the Philadelphia 76ers, so definitely filled with a bit of rust. He shot 6 from 18 in that game, did have 9 assists, though. She was getting very busy with it. The next time he played the Charlotte Hornets, once again, there was no Joel Embiid. Scores 29 points, rattles off 8 assists, takes a very similar volume of shots, just shoots at a much higher percentage in this one. So I'm not expecting him to be that great, but I'm definitely expecting him to cover 26.5. I think a 30.5 definitely a possibility. Now, another filter that I looked at when I was going through Paul George was firstly on the minute side of things. I'm expecting him to play at least 30 minutes in this one. He's been playing 35 to 37 minutes lately. But if we look at the games where he's only played 30 minutes or more, and then we check his numbers with and without Joel Embiid, check this out. So with Joel Embiid in the lineup, he's averaging 20.8 points and assists when he plays more than 30 minutes. Without Joel Embiid, that number skyrockets to 27.5 points and assists. Now, we're looking at 25.5 here, so we need 26 of those suckers, basically needing Paul George to play at his average rate when Joel Embiid is out of the lineup. Another call out here is Jared McCain is also out. So in my mind, that means more usage rate here for Paul George. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to score more, but he is going to have the ball a little bit more. Whether he's scoring, whether he's creating for others and getting some assists, that's all going to help add to this total. So I'm taking the over 25.5 points and assists for Paul George. We need 26 to cash this. That's my first bet of the day. The next one, jumping to the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets playing without Dennis Schroeder, who's gone. I actually really want to bet on Ben Simmons in this game, but there are no lines available for him as yet. But still got another player that I like. And I'm looking at Evan Mobley here. Looking at his points plus rebounds, 23.5. He's over this in 17 out of 25 games this season, and his matchup against the Nets is fantastic. Now, if we just talk about similar types of players, 5 out of the last 7 players with similar offensive profiles as Evan Mobley have gone over their points line, which is nice. 16% difference, meaning they go over their closing line by 16%, which is quite dramatic. In terms of the matchups, Evan Mobley scores in transition, gets to the free throw line, and is a spot-up shooter, right? Those are his main dominant play types. This Brooklyn Nets team, bottom 10 in defending all of those. Evan Mobley also scores 68% of his points in the restricted area. This Brooklyn Nets team, one of the worst in the league. 4th most points allowed right around the basket. So offensively, the matchup is fantastic. He took advantage of the Nets earlier this season with this game. 23 points and 16 rebounds. He ate them alive. Only played 35 minutes in that one as well. So in terms of matchup-wise, it is brilliant. The hit rate on it is great as well. And if we talk about form against the opponent, he's also ticking the boxes there. What you can do on Props Madness is filter out to find similar types of matchups. And in this, we're looking at teams that don't defend the transition very well, and we're also looking at teams that don't defend around the basket very well. The Brooklyn Nets, one of the worst. And if I filter it out, if we look at the bottom 10 in both of those categories, when Evan Mobley faces them, we're talking teams like the Wizards, Lakers, Pelicans, Nets, Bulls, Pelicans, Wizards, and Denver. When he plays these rubbish teams against his type of play style, he's over this line in 7 out of 8 games, averaging 27.4 points and rebounds. So I'm liking Evan Mobley to go over on this one. That's my second play. The next play that we're looking at is in this game between the Chicago, I don't know why I'm stuttering there. I must be excited or aroused or somewhat. I'm not going to say that word because that offends people, but might be something wrong with me. Chicago Bulls versus the Toronto Raptors. And I'm always looking for an edge here. When the Bulls are playing, someone's going to have an excellent advantage to take advantage. I did it again. Someone's going to have an excellent matchup to take advantage of. And that person, I think, is going to be Jakob Poeltl today. And for Jakob Poeltl, I'm looking at over 16.5 points. Now, if you just looked at his season's numbers, you're probably not going to get very excited about it. He's only over this in 11 out of 25 games. So this might not be a really popular play. Hit rate bettors are not going to bet on this. If you're using Props Madness, you can play with the filters to find out why this is such a good play. If you're not, you're probably not going to see it. But let's talk about Jakob Poeltl for a second. Firstly, in terms of matchup, Jakob Poeltl scores in the pick and roll. The Bulls, worst team in the league. They allow the most points to the pick and roll man in the league. Scores through putback buckets. This Bulls team, bottom 7 in the league in terms of defending putback buckets. He gets to the free throw line, scores in transition, can score in the post. Pretty much all the ways that Jakob Poeltl likes to score, this Bulls team is not good at defending it at all. Another thing to look at, check this out. Similar players versus the Bulls. 7 out of the last 8 players with a similar scoring profile as Jakob Poeltl, they've smashed their lines against the Bulls. They've gone 42% higher than the closing line, which is absolutely astonishing. Now, joke about Jakob Poeltl, we're diving into the matchup here. So the first thing we need to think about is who's missing. And the people who are missing, Scotty Barnes and Emmanuel Quickley. Very important pieces, right? So without Emmanuel Quickley and Scotty Barnes, Jakob Poeltl's over this line in 6 out of 10 games. All of a sudden, we might have something to work with, right? But if we take a look at the teams that are terrible defending around the basket, right? The Bulls, the worst team defending in the restricted area. Jakob Poeltl lives there. Now, if we remove the top teams and we just isolate it to the teams that don't defend very well in that area, check this out. Looking at the bottom 15 teams in points allowed in the restricted area, Jakob Poeltl over this line in every single one of them. The Hornets, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Celtics, and the Pacers. Some of these teams know how to play defense, right? The problem is that these teams allow so many points around the basket, and that's what Jakob Poeltl does. There's no one else on this Toronto team that matches that shot profile. So Jakob Poeltl has killed it. 5 out of 5 games, averaging 25.6 points per game against these teams when Emmanuel Quickley and Scotty Barnes are out of this lineup. So given the fact that he's performed so well without them, the matchup is absolutely fantastic. Players with a similar profile as Jakob Poeltl have absolutely murdered this team. I'm backing Jakob Poeltl to go over 16.5 points. Now, this probably means nothing to you, but you guys have been asking for it. And if you're the person who comments on every single video asking for this information, here it is. This is my favorite play of the day. But keep in mind, my favorite player of the day in the last 2 days, they've lost. Isaiah Hartenstein was a favorite player of mine, and Santi Aldama was a favorite player of mine. Just because it's my favorite doesn't mean it improves the chance of hitting. So please keep that in mind. Don't throw everything you have at this. All I'm saying is all the research that I've done, it all signs point to yes here for Jakob Poeltl. And it's probably not going to be a popular play, and I also love that too. Now, my last bet actually, before we get into some of the leans, we're heading over to the Utah Jazz versus the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, I actually find myself betting on the Clippers every single time they play, but my bet's not on the Clippers today. I'm actually going with a big fella, Walker Kessler. Now, Walker Kessler has been absolutely murdering his points and rebounds as of late. And this is going to be a popular play because hit rate bettors are going to be all over it, right? Looking at his points and rebounds, he's over it in 7 or 8 consecutive games, right? The line 20.5. I got it at 19.5. It's still available at 19.5 on most books. So over 19.5 points and rebounds for Walker Kessler. Now, I've done a dive to figure out what are the common trends that we're seeing in all of these games. And being honest with you guys, the biggest difference here for Walker Kessler is purely based on minutes. Now, I've done my numbers. I've gone on the RotoWire. I've checked the projected minutes here for Walker Kessler, and he's projected to play 33 minutes in this game. What I've done here with Props Madness is I filtered the games where he's played at least 30 minutes, even 29 minutes. Let's just look at 29 minutes. Check this out. When Walker Kessler plays 29 minutes or more this season, he's over this line in 12 out of 12 games, averaging 26.3 points and rebounds. So the only question is, will he play over 29 minutes? And he's up against the Clippers, who have Zubac, and I think that ties in nicely with Walker Kessler. You're going to need some big asshole to match that big asshole, and when the two big assholes combine, there's shit everywhere. But that's not the point. I think Walker Kessler continues to see minutes, which means he should continue to hit this number. Now, just because he's hit it so well and he averages 26 points and rebounds, does this mean he's going to be sweat-free? Absolutely not, because the matchup that Walker Kessler has today against the Clippers is somewhat difficult. Now, if we just talk about scoring the ball, Walker Kessler scoring in putbacks, around the basket, all that type of stuff. You can see it here. All of these are in yellow, meaning the matchup's not good, but the matchup's not bad either. If we talk about zones, Walker Kessler, 85% of his points around the basket. This Clippers team, 14th, pretty much middle of the pack. So the matchup, average, right? Similar types of players, Jakob Poeltl, Rudy Gobert, they've actually gone under their points line against the Clippers. So the matchup to score points, it's not an easy one. So there's no locks here. We're not doing that. But if we talk about his rebounds as well, this Clippers team, they allow the 4th fewest rebounds in the league. So the matchup, difficult for Walker Kessler to get boards as well. So why are we still taking this bet? Well, you can use Props Madness to filter this down to get a little bit more certainty. So firstly, if we look at, let's go points in the paint, right? Out of these teams, let's look at the ones that don't allow many points in the paint, right? So we've got OKC and we've got the Sacramento Kings. They don't allow points in the paint. He still had 28 and 22. Right? In these games, he only scored 8 points against the Sacramento Kings, but he did score 17 points against the OKC Thunder. If we look at his rebounds, he had 11 rebounds against the Thunder, and he had 14 rebounds against the Sacramento Kings. So the matchup was difficult, but he still managed to cover those. If we look specifically at rebounds allowed, a lot of these teams, pretty good rebounders. What about the teams that are only in the top 10 in rebounds allowed? We've got the Knicks and the Sacramento Kings. Against the Knicks, he had 10 rebounds and 11 points. So I would say the most comparable matchups in terms of difficulty are the matchups where he barely got over 20. I'm talking about matchups with the Kings, where he had 22 points and rebounds, the Knicks, where he had 21 points and rebounds, and Dallas as well. So Dallas, he had 12 points and 11 rebounds. That's probably what I'd be expecting here for Walker Kessler, for him to hover around 21 to 22 points and rebounds. Just because he's killed it doesn't make this a lock, but I'm still taking the bet. I'm relying on Walker Kessler to get the minutes here. Does he smash his rebounds? Does he smash his points? That I can't tell you, because the matchup's difficult for both. But if he's on there for long enough, he's going to find his way to score points. He's going to find some way to catch some rebounds. So those are my 4 bets, but do not go anywhere. You know how I do. I got more value for you. But before we get there, I do ask that you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. At the start of this season, we had 12,000 subscribers, and take a look. We're close to 18,000. So we're growing very quickly, and I need your help to keep this thing moving. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm dropping heat just like this every single day. Nobody's giving you these types of insights. No one's giving you this volume of bets either. So show your support, show some love, and subscribe to the channel for your boy. And if you can, leave me a comment down below. You can say absolutely anything. It's all for the algorithm, baby. That algorithm is going to push this video out to thousands of people. So you can comment anything down below. And I thank everybody who does that. So I appreciate you all. Now let's get through some of leans. And when I say leans, I'm most likely not going to bet these, but these might be popular bets that you see shown around on your social media and stuff like that. And I'll tell you what my concerns are about them. Let's go. All right. So one bet that you might see floating around the socials, because it's probably hit rate related, is this. LaMelo Ball over 23.5 points. He's over this in 15 out of 18 games, averaging 31.1 points per game. Line's only at 23.5. Do you want to guess why? It's not because of the matchup. It's because this guy's been injured. He hasn't played a game in over 3 weeks. We don't know if there's going to be a minutes restriction. We don't know what his role is going to be exactly. So all I'm saying is it's a risky bet to take purely because you don't know how long he's going to play. If news drops about a restriction or the fact that he's not on one, then I think it's a fantastic play. But if you're betting on this because of hit rates, I wouldn't do it. He might go over, but it's still not a bad bet. It's still a bad bet because you don't know how much he's going to play, right? He's had injuries every single season. They have to do a better job of monitoring him and trying to slow him down. So that's one bet that you'll probably see floating around because it does have a great hit rate, but that line is low for a reason. Now, another bet you're going to see floating around is going to be on Norman Powell. And you'd be looking at an over in his points prop today, probably a 20.5 or maybe a 21.5, whatever it is. I think this is going to be a popular play today. And honestly, I don't hate this bet. Like, he's over in 12 out of 19 games. He's got an excellent matchup against Utah. Like, not kidding. Norm Powell has a great matchup here. Now, I wanted to take this bet on Norm Powell. The problem that I found, though, is I only have 2 books, right? One of them has the line at 22.5 at minus 104. I'm not taking that. That's a negative EV. The other one is Bet365, which is the only people that have it at 20.5, but it's at minus 145. I don't want to drink that much juice. If I could find a 21.5 at minus 110 or minus 105 like they are on DraftKings, then I'd be taking it. But if I was to take this bet, I'd be taking it at terrible odds, whether it's at 20.5, whether it's at 22.5, and I ain't down for that. But if you catch it at 21.5 and you're paying, it's like 105, 110, then I think it's a good look. I think Norm Powell can definitely bounce back today. Another look that I was looking at was his 3-pointers made prop. Very much the same thing. The matchup's good. Plus money play if you get it at the right book. Knowing that DraftKings has it at plus 105 and I have to get it at minus 110 means I'm not taking it. But I think Norm Powell definitely scores the ball well today. You can go with his points prop. You can go with the threes if you want to. I really think that's a good look, but it's not something I'm going to be playing because the odds are terrible. The other one you'll probably see a lot of people betting on today is this, and it's James Harden over his rebounds and assists. There are some 12.5s around, and those are moving. Now, James Harden was going on a bit of a streak with his rebounds and assists, and I know that because I was betting it, and I was betting it quite heavily, and then he started to hit a couple of rough patches. So his last 3 games hasn't gotten close to this, 8, 6, and 11. What's happened in the last 3 games? This game, they blew out the Portland Trail Blazers. Against the Minnesota Timberwolves, they lost by 28 points. Against the Denver Nuggets, they lost by 22 points. So 3 consecutive blowouts, meaning James Harden doesn't get his minutes. Now, he's up against the Utah Jazz, and the spread here is 8 points, and there's a risk that they might blow them out again. But last time against Utah, they won by 11. He played 34 minutes, 6 rebounds, and he had 11 assists, 22 potentials. The one thing we've seen as of late, even though he's playing probably 3 to 5 minutes lower than he normally would, his potential assist volume is down. So I don't know. I don't feel like it's as safe as some people may make it out to be. The matchup is great. Don't get me wrong. This Utah Jazz team gives up a ton of assists. 3rd most assists in the league. James Harden should be able to find a lot of shooters, which is why Norm Powell, his numbers appeal to me. But at the same time, he's not surrounded by as many shooters. So might be a little bit difficult. It's not a bad bet. It's just something that I'm not willing to take because there's a lot of reasons why this could lose. The Clippers could blow out the Utah Jazz. meaning James Harden doesn't get his assists. Norm Powell could score a lot of points in isolation and in transition. James Harden may not get his assists. They've been playing Kevin Porter Jr. a lot more minutes, given the amount of injuries that they have. Kevin Porter Jr. can rack up the assists as well. So there's three different things and three different ways I can see this bet losing. So I'm choosing not to take it. You can feel free to take it. At the end of the day, I am no expert in this. I'm just some average guy. This is not, I have a full-time job. I'm just an average guy who records this in the evenings and shares my insights. Feel free to take it if you want to. I'm just sharing with you my reasons why I'm not going to. So I'm not saying to bet the under. That's definitely what I'm saying. I'm just explaining why I'm not taking the bet. The next bet, and this is probably not popular, but I honestly thought about it. We're looking at Malik Monk again. I'm 0-2 on my last two Malik Monk bets, but his assist prop does intrigue me. Line at 5.5. He's hit this at a decent rate since he's joined the starting lineup, up against the Denver Nuggets, who allow the most assists in the league. Similar types of players, Jordan Poole, Karis LeVert, Keontae George, they all cover their assist prop against the Denver Nuggets. My only concern here is I didn't know whether to choose between Malik Monk or De'Aaron Fox. Both of them, their assist line is higher than their season average. Malik Monk at 5.5, he's normally at 4.5. De'Aaron Fox, his assist line is at 6.5, it's normally at 5.5. So, yeah, I think one of them will definitely go over their assist prop today. I just can't tell you which one it's going to be. So that's my concern in that one. I'm actually quite surprised I didn't find a bet here in this Nuggets versus the Kings game. Another popular one you'll probably see here is for Christian Braun, and it might be over his points. It might be over his points and rebounds. Actually, looking at the hit rate, it's probably his points and rebounds. Now, looking at Christian Braun, he's over this in 19 out of 23 games, which is just astonishing. An excellent hit rate. He's averaging 20 points and rebounds this season. Line's only at 15.5. Now, the line's at 15.5 for a reason. Christian Braun showing up on the injury report. He does have a few niggling injuries, which could impact, one, his minutes, but also his effectiveness when he plays. So Christian Braun, if you did not know, suffering from back spasms. And thankfully, I haven't had a back spasm before. But if that's what you're suffering from, one, probably a bit of head noise, a bit of mind games around it. Two, probably impacts your athletic ability, which Christian Braun heavily relies on. Now, not only is it back spasms, but he's had issues with his quadriceps as well. So if Christian Braun plays, does he play as well as he has been playing this season? Probably not. Now, another thing I want you to factor in here for Christian Braun is around matchups. So when it comes to scoring the ball, Christian Braun scoring 33% of his points in transition. We can see that right here. Up against the Sacramento Kings, who allow the fewest points in transition in the league. So the matchup for him to score out in transition, that's a difficult one for him as well. Now, he also scores 61% of his points around the basket in the restricted area. This Sacramento Kings team, they allow the second fewest points around the rim. So if they're going to give up points, it's on the perimeter. Now, Christian Braun, capable of scoring in the perimeter, but just looking at his shot chart here, you can see that's not what he wants to do. He wants to run, jump, drive, and attack the rim, get some layups, some dunks, unless dunk all over Rudy Gobert, that's for sure. But what I'm saying here is that this matchup for Christian Braun is also an awful one. So his matchup is terrible. He's got all these injury problems coming into this game. And the Denver Nuggets are close to full strength. So that's why I'm not betting on Christian Braun. But a lot of people who like betting on hit rates will be. Now, I'm not saying to bet the under. Again, just reminding you all, these are the reasons why I'm not betting the over. Now, outside of that, I think there's one more lean I wanted to talk through, and that's for Tyler Hero. And I wanted to take this, right? There's a lot of sense that makes a lot of sense to take the over here. But when I dove a little bit deeper, I managed to walk myself off that. So Tyler Hero scores a lot of his points. Check it out. 51% of his points above the break, a lot of three-pointers. He also scores most of his points in the pick and roll. Now, his matchup here against Detroit is fantastic. Bottom 5 in defending the pick and roll ball handler. They're also bottom 5 at defending above the break. If you look at this shot chart, this is their Detroit defense, meaning they're only good at defending right around the basket and in one of the corners. Outside of that, it's open season. People like Tyler Hero can absolutely run amok on them. Now, Tyler Hero scored 19 points in their first matchup. He was only 7 for 20. He shot poorly in that game. Then the next matchup against Detroit scores 40 points, 10 for 17 from 3, 14 from 27 from the field. So two outliers, one where he shoots awfully, one where he shoots amazingly well. If he shoots at his average, he's going to cover over 22.5 points. That's a given because the volume is nice against Detroit. The problem that I found here, and look, I think he still goes over The problem that I did find with it though is if we use prop madness to find similar matchups, so teams that don't defend the pick and roll very well and that don't defend above the break, Tyler Hero's only over this line in 4 out of 8 games. He still averages 24.8 points, but he's only over it half the time. So you could put Tyler Hero in the perfect matchup and he still only covers it at 50% of the time. So that was the reason why I stepped off. But I do think he goes over. I just wouldn't be able to take this bet with as much confidence backed by data. So that's my reservation. If you ask me, what does he go over or not? I think he goes over. Honestly, I do. I just don't have enough data to support that. That's all I'm saying. That's a wrap on today's video. Hope you guys found a lot of value in that. If you did, make sure you like the video. Drop me a comment down below. Also, if you want to try on that VIP, go ahead and sign up to Rebet. Make your first deposit. Send me an email, and I will hook you guys up with a 30-day free trial of my VIP picks, and you'll get entry into that draw. If you just want to get straight into my VIP picks, you want to hit on all these parlays and bangers that I'm hitting every single day, then go ahead and check it out. Use the code OBI. You'll get 50% off your first month. There's only 15 spots left, so don't waste any time. Go ahead and do it. But best of luck to you. Best of luck to me. I hope we green out on this upcoming day when it comes to our slips, that is. But if you green out it another way, best of luck to you. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.